All right. Well, welcome everyone, and thanks again for being here on a Friday. With us to learn about the new NC3 online testing site, certification site. Say with a large group on the line and everything, it'll probably be best if you keep your lines muted until the end. We'll kind of hold questions until then. So if you get them, just kind of jot them down, so that way you remember to ask us when we get finished. So that way we'll just kind of get through it. Like I say, I will take questions at the end, and I'll spend as much time as needed to go through and re-show or tell again anything that might be a little bit confusing or anything on the testing site. So, any questions before we kick off and get going? Everybody okay on the Join Me screen and can see the NC3 PowerPoint slide up and running? All right, then I think we'll get going. All right. Just a little overview of the new site. Obviously, we're having some changes. We're going from our pro training site that's been with us and working well since 2007. We're kind of going to a new site that's going to give us some more options that we're going to have. So this will be beneficial for us in the future. Some of the reasons why we have our new website here is it's going to have a lot more functionality, and we're not going to go through all that new functionality today. We're just going to kind of get it up and running, but there will be some kind of advanced user, power user type presentations and stuff in the future for your school to be able to get some more data and see a little bit more information than we were able to on pro training. This is going to help also the Snap-on team as they continue to do their good work of recruiting schools and helping those schools with equipment and tools and consultations. NC3 is going to take over and help manage a lot more of the curriculum, the test site, and that. So that will free them up. So as NC3 has grown, and we're going to help transfer some of those responsibilities to help free up the Snap-on team. So from this point on, I know you guys love calling Dwayne and bothering him. We all do. But if you have questions on the testing site and stuff, you can start to direct those to Dan and myself, and there'll be a link within the testing site that when you send an email or whatever, you'll be actually contacting us. So we'll be supporting that and helping you going forward. And as we add on other companies, other corporate sponsors, in addition to Snap-on, like Train, this site will also help make it easier for us to implement their certifications and things that they're going to want to do. So the new web address that you're going to want to know and give to your students when we get this thing going is nc3certs.com. nc3certs.com. We tried to pick something that was short and easily memorable, a little bit easier than snapon.protraining.com and all that kind of stuff. So nc3certs.com is where it's going to be. There will also be a link from this from the nc3.net website. So from either NC3 site or from the home NC3 site, you can get to here also. Otherwise, nc3certs.com. You will be getting your username and email in the next couple weeks, so that way you'll be able to access the site. And keep your fingers crossed, because we all know how technology works. But the plan is, we're not going to lose any data from the pro training site. It will all make it into the new site, so all of your certifications will be housed historically on the new site, so you'll be able to access your certificates and everything like that. And including any students that you've had in the past, their information will be transferred over also. So all of that will get migrated to the new testing site. So some of the dates are, a little bit flexible, but for the most part, our tentative schedule, we're going to be kind of taking down the pro training site. We're not going to completely be pulling the plug on it. It will still be there in the background, but it'll have kind of limited access as we move people to the new NC3 cert site. So that way, we'll be kind of shutting it down on November 23rd. So that way we can gather all of the data from that and then transfer that over to the new site. So that way, come Monday the 26th, the new site will be populated with all of that historical data, and it will be up running and ready to go. And again, you'll be receiving an email with your user ID and passwords and all of that kind of information. So we have Pro Training as a backup if there were happen to be a system failure or something like that. We're not foreseeing that. So far, everything's coming together quite nicely. We've made some good strides here in this last week. Got it really pushed out, and it's starting to look really well, working well. So everything's a go so far. All right. So next thing we're going to go into is basically the site itself. So we're going to go to NC3certs.com. And the first thing that you will do when your students get here is they will have to find your school. So each school has its kind of own mini site within this site. So the easiest way to browse, and the school that we're going to go into today is basically a beta test school. So you would click on the first letter of your school name, and then we are going to go to site. Just a quick little tip again, sometimes students want to click on the name of the school, like if you had Baker College here. That's just going to take you to an info page with like a contact person and email. What you really want to have them click is go to site. So that's why we put that on top, so hopefully that's the first thing they hit, and they'll click to that, because that will actually take you to the school site where you will actually be able to access the certification exams. So once you click your go to site on your school home or page there, you kind of come up to your school's homepage. So we kind of call this the school level. And one key thing that helped me when navigating this is there's two main levels that we'll be working in. There's this school level where it will list all the certifications that you have access to. And then when we click on a certification to go into it, that's going to be the exam level. All right, so school level, exam level. You can kind of keep those two separate. That will help you while you're navigating, because there's different functions and different navigation pieces on each level. So first thing you're going to want to do once you get here is log in. So there's a little login box in the lower right hand corner, and you'll put in your username and password that will be sending to you. And once you log in, that login box goes away and you're able to now navigate the site. There is another way to log in. If you don't log in from that box down in the lower right hand corner, if you click on any of the certifications, you try to go to that exam level, it will automatically take you to a login screen. So either way, you can log in down in the lower right hand corner or click the certification that you're working on, and it won't let you in until it basically checks your permissions and make sure that you're able to be part of it. So either way will help you get logged in. What we're going to be doing is your school, kind of mimicking the Pro Training kind of template that we've been using. Your school is going to be giving what's called a campus admin account. So that campus admin is going to be almost identical to your current facilitator on Pro Training. They are going to have kind of ultimate access for your specific school. There are admin levels above that, of course, but for your specific school, your campus admin is your point of contact. All right. So whoever your facilitator is right now will probably be getting that campus admin login. Now, kind of like with Pro Training, if you want to give that log in out to other instructors or people at your college to have multiple admins, that's kind of a local decision. Depends on your workload, your setup, your campus, your trust factors, whatever it is. But we allow that, we leave that up to your local campus. Then, of course, there's the student level, which all they can do is take tests. And on Pro Training, that's really all there was. There was the facilitator and the student, period. We have one intermediate level now when we're working with the new site, which I think will be helpful, where the campus administrator has full access. They can enroll students into the system. They can put students in various certification classes or allow them access to the exams. They can review tests and grades and all that. So whenever an instructor needed to put a class roster in, you had to contact your campus admin or your facilitator on Pro Training to have them do that. And that will still be how we do it for the new site, except we also have an instructor permission level. It's kind of an intermediate. So the instructor level, the only thing the instructor can do other than take exams like a student is view grades. So we have it set up where the instructors can't enroll their own students or put those students in specific classes, because we've heard from various schools that some schools want to maintain that in a more single or smaller group. But yet they didn't want to be bothered with, I have a lot of instructors, they just need to know their grades, and I always had to print out the grade report for them. So we have an instructor level where they have a little bit more access than a student, as in they can go in and see who's in a particular class/certification, and also view the results of those tests, and also you'll be able to see the test questions that those students got wrong. So the instructors will have that access to help aid in the facilitation of the certification at the classroom level. But all enrollments, all student inputting will still be done and maintained at the campus admin level. And if there are any renewing of exams or reissuing of exams, that all has to be done at the campus admin level too. So there's a little bit of a hierarchy there. So we added that intermediate level of an instructor permission set. So the first thing that we want to cover is basically how do you get users into this. So this is kind of a campus admin feature, so if you're not going to be a campus admin, you might not have to do this, but you may have to help your campus admin out if they couldn't make the phone call or whatever else. So we're going to kind of teach it from a campus admin point of view, which will then cover an instructor point of view also, so it covers everything that could possibly be done. So there are basically two ways of adding users. We have the single user add, and then we have a bulk upload. And the bulk upload I think is going to help a lot, and it was a feature we didn't really have in the other site. So if you want to do a bulk upload, the easiest way is to go into the exam level. So I'm just going to use the Ethos certification as an example. So if I wanted to issue that certification, I would click on that exam level, and you'll notice, and this is for any exam now, whether it be meter or torque or any of the diagnostic tools, over on the right hand side there's a box called Upload Users. And inside that box you'll have two links that are going to be important for using the bulk upload feature. One is the user upload instructions, which you can click on and it will open up in a new window and tab, and it basically gives you step-by-step instructions on how to use the bulk upload feature. The other piece that's important to use that is a template. When you're importing this data, you're going to be importing it using like an Excel type spreadsheet on a comma separated value CSV file. To download that template to input your students into it, you can click that link and then save that template to your local computer, and then from there you can input your student data on that. So going through these instructions, just real briefly, this will walk you through that bulk upload situation. So here's kind of an example of what that screen is going to look like. Basic fields that are going to be required that you're going to have to fill in: username, password, first name, last name, email, and then of course the course that you're enrolling in, the role, and possibly a group. So the important part are kind of the criteria required for each column. So down here it does list kind of the criteria for the column. It tells you what the username can and can't contain as far as characters. The password options. Probably another nice feature is the change me password option. So if you set the password field to change me, when the student logs in the first time, it will force them to change their password to something that they can remember and recognize, and then they can hold on to that. So that's a nice option to have, so that way it forces them to kind of secure their site, and it kind of puts the onus on them. If you've been using a kind of a common password to start, so that way it was easier for the class to get in initially, like password or password 1 or something like that, you still can do that also. The only requirement is that the password is at least 5 characters and 1 digit long. First name, last name is pretty self-explanatory. The email field, it cannot be left empty. You have to put an email address in there. The funny trick about this is if your students don't have an email address and you're not really using the messaging portion of the testing site, you can put in a fake or false address, and it's not going to like check and make sure it's valid. So if you're teaching at a high school or a college that doesn't issue email addresses, and you may have students that don't have an email address, that's okay. You can kind of put in a fake or phony email address, and they will still have access to the site. It will not lock them out, but you do need to put something in the field for it to upload, otherwise it won't upload correctly. The next one is the course, or the course 1 column. One trick to this. This will be if you want to, not just put the students in the site, but also assign them to a specific test. So I'm going to put them in the site as a whole, so they'll be in the system. And I also want to put them in the 504 meter class, or the ethos class. That's the course 1. The only trick about the course 1 is you have to use what's called the certification short name. Okay, the short name is in the system, and of course it has to be put in exactly right, otherwise the system won't recognize it. We're going to be sending out or linking to the site kind of a cheat sheet of all the short names. All right, so most of them are pretty self-explanatory. The actual name here is like ethos certification. The short name is ethos. So it's almost what you'd expect it to be. But for some of the like Veris and Verdict data management, component testing, and electrical measurement, they've significantly shrunk that down. So we're gonna we'll give you that list. Just be aware that you'll want to like cut and paste or type that very carefully, because if you mess up that short name, of course the system won't recognize it, and then your students won't get enrolled in that course. So just make a note to be careful of the course 1 column. Put that in carefully, and you have to use the short name, and we will be sending you out a cheat sheet on that, or we're going to try to embed it right into the site here so you have it. The role is pretty much going to be students. I don't know if you're going to need to bulk enroll like an instructor. You might do that, and you could, but for the most part, it's going to be student for the role. And groups, you can group them into classes if you so choose to. That is an option on the site. All right, uploading, it talks about it here on the screen. I'm going to go kind of show you where you would do that and where you would locate that. So I'm going to go back to the actual certification site. Once I've uploaded, or once I've downloaded my template and I've filled it out, I'll have to go back to the school level. So if you look in the upper left-hand corner here, you'll kind of see the breadcrumb trail that shows you where you're at. And right now I'm at the exam level of the ethos certification. In order to upload my template, I need to go back to the school level. Like I talked about those two main levels, school and exam. So if I go back to the school level by clicking School Home, that will take me back to the school level. And then over on the left-hand side, there's a My Info box. And in the My Info box, there's a User folder. So we're going to open up Users. And under Users, there's Accounts. And once we have the accounts open up, you can go to the Upload Users option. And here is where you would upload that CSV file. And one thing I should mention too, when you do save that template and you do like a save as, make sure you pick the proper format for that template, and that is a CSV file. It has to be saved as a CSV, comma separated value file, otherwise it will not upload properly. So I had accidentally defaulted to something else a couple times when I saved it, so that's one thing you'll just want to keep an eye on. It's an easy fix, but it can be frustrating if you didn't catch it when you saved it initially. So this is where you would do that. You'd upload that file. It's like any other attachment to an email or a website, and then you'd basically just click Upload Users, and it will automatically upload that. So that should save some time, considering how it had to be kind of manually entered one by one on the Pro Training site. So that's an awesome option to have now. The other option is basically to add a single user. Let's say we're going to add, 1 or 2 instructors. Probably isn't, worth the time of, downloading the bulk upload template and all that. Under users again, from the school level, under users and accounts, we'll click Add New User, and that brings you up to a very familiar kind of name, rank, and serial number page where you'll put in the username, their new password, and then some of their identifying information. Again, email address, if they have it, use the one that is valid. If they don't, you can put an invalid email address in here, and it will still work. This is also where, if you scroll down, you can choose their job title, just like we used to do on pro training. So if you want to differentiate between some outside technicians you're training, your students you're training, and perhaps you're bringing in high school instructors and training them, or other instructors from your college, you can kind of segregate them into post-secondary instructor, secondary instructor, student, and technician. The required fields, of course, are kind of red with the asterisks, and then, of course, if it's not that, you can always add more information, pictures and everything else now, but it's not required in order to add that user to the system. All right. So at this point in time, you would have students entered into the system. All right, and if you use the bulk upload, they might be in the system and actually at the certification level. So I'm going to assume that you didn't put them at the certification level, and I want to kind of show you how we would, I guess in pro training we said issue them exams. For the new site, we really enroll them in the certification course. All right, so if I wanted my students to take the ethos certification, I would go to the exam level, so I'll click on the certification, which would be ethos, and then from this exam level again, I would go over to the My Info box, and there's the option to assign roles. So I will click on assign roles, and at this point, this is where I can enroll students in the certification that I'm working with, like in this case, ethos. So I would go down to student, and this is one part that sometimes people get a little bit messed up on. They don't exactly know where to go from here. These options over here are actually linked, so it's not just student in a different color. It is actually a link. So you'll want to click, I want to add students or enroll students. So I want to click student, and at this point you will see 2 boxes. On the right are all of the students or users in the system. So there's a system level, and then there's like an exam level again. So these are all the people on the right here that are in the system. They may or may not actually be enrolled in a specific course or have access to the certification exams. So if I want to take Earl over here, and I want him to take the ethos exam, I can click and highlight that student, and I can click add, and it will put them over to the existing users who do have enrollment or access to the ethos exam. So essentially what I just did was issue Earl an exam, if you're using the pro training terminology that we're kind of used to. All right, new terminology, we call it enrollment. We enrolled Earl to take the ethos exam. A few other options that we can do to make this a little bit quicker. On my keyboard, if I hold the control button down, I can hold the control and click on multiple students that I want and click add, and that will add all of them at one time over to the existing users, or again issue them or enroll them to take that exam. Or I can actually search for a student if I have a particular student that I want to find, and then I can click on that student and then just click add, and of course that will get added too. So, and if you're done using the search, you can then show all users again, and that will just bring you back to where you were at. So that's essentially how we issue exams now. Once they're uploaded or in the system, either using the bulk upload or the single user, we then go into that certification level of whatever certification you're issuing. We assign roles, we click student, and then all the students or potential students will be listed on the right. And if we want to issue or enroll them into that specific certification, we simply add them to the box on the left. When we're done with that, we basically click assign roles and certification. This is kind of the save button. It applies and saves all of the students that you then entered into that exam. Okay. So I'll just go back to the school level again because this is where your students would start at. So now we have students in, now we have students enrolled, now it's time to take our exams. So to kind of show you what a student would see for the most part, they would come in, they will click the certification that that you've assigned them or that they need to take. So I would click the ethos certification. They will have two links right down here kind of in the center of the page. You'll see ethos certification exam and ethos certificate. Do not freak out about the certificate. If they have not passed the exam, that's a dead link. They can click on it all they want. There is no certificate attached to that link, though the link is always visible. So not until they successfully complete the exam will there actually be a certificate to print, even though there's a link there. So next thing we're going to do is we would just click the ethos certification exam. And at this point, you're given 3 attempts. We've set all the attempts to 3 to kind of help alleviate some stress on the transition here. It's kind of been past practice that 3 attempts is kind of max for these certifications. We want to maintain the rigor, and if we allow unlimited attempts, that kind of waters down what we're doing. I think 3 is probably more than fair. So we've just kind of set it at 3 for right now. To allow that, and it is set to the highest grade, so they're not penalized anyway for taking it or taking it again if they want to try to get a higher score. So in this case, it will say I've already took this exam once, but it'll either say take this exam or reattempt this exam. In this case, since I've already had one attempt, you would simply click the little button in the lower left corner, and it will then ask you to confirm. Are you really sure you want to take this exam? Yes, sure, I'll take the exam. And then you'll go through and start to answer the questions. Couple things to let your students know of ahead of time. There is, let me see here, submit and finish all. Let me do, I'm missing a button. Let's.
I think, Matt, maybe you have to select one first. Maybe you have to answer one question first.
That might be it. Let's finish that one. Let me try a different one. Okay. Let me try TC Max. Well. Reattempt. All right. Well, I'll tell you what you're gonna see when it's when you're supposed to see it. There's 2 buttons down here. One says save and submit, or excuse me, save without submitting, and the other one says submit all and finish. The save without submitting simply saves the user's progress at one point in time. And the reason it might be down is because we've asked them to change this to make it a little bit easier. So I'm hoping that's why it's down, and they're in the process of doing that. The trick, at least for the students that I tested this with, the button that used to be on the left, it would save their progress, but it wouldn't automatically move them to the next question. So if I answered question 1, and I wanted to save it in case my computer crashed or I lost internet connection or something like that, I would click save, but it would keep me on question 1. The only way I can go to question 2, there's 2 options. I can either go above and below on the number line, and I can click question 2, and that will bring me to question 2. Or I can use the next button or the next link that's way to the end of the number lines, both above and below again. And of course that would bring me to the next question or the previous question if I wanted to go back. So what we've asked them to do is change this button to save and next. So it would save the answer. So in case of a crash, they can come in and pick up where they left off, but it would automatically move them to the next question. So keep your fingers crossed. It might be gone because they're making it a little bit easier for us. But in case it comes back to the way it was, in order for your students to move forward to the next question, they either have to click the question number or click next on either one of the number lines above or below the question itself. When you are done answering all the questions, we'll always use the submit all and finish button. If they don't do that, it doesn't really submit the certification or the exam for grading. So I'll submit all and finish, and it will ask you to confirm that. And as a campus admin, there will be a review feature where I can go through and look at that exam. The students won't have access to that. So I'm just going to finish this review. But what you will have as an instructor, and I'm going to kind of bounce out because as an instructor you would start at the school level. And now let's say all of your students have completed their ethos exam and you want to go gather their scores and see how they did. You would log in, you would be at the school level, you would then click the certification that you want to go check the data on. So I want to go see how we did on the ethos. And you're probably going to want to go to the certification exam itself. It seems a little not intuitive. It's like, well, I don't want to take the exam, and you're not. What you're going to do, though, is you're going to click on the exam like you're going to take it, but instead of taking an attempt, you're going to go up to this tab in the middle, and it's the results tab. All right, so the results tab is where you want to go for grades and grading. So you go into the exam. This is one part that I got a little confused on when I first started using it, so I just want to point it out again. You will go into the specific exam, like the ethos, and then you will go down to the exam link. Just like you were going to take the test, that's the same place you go to find the grades also. So you click on the exam, and then you're going to go to results up on the top tab. So we'll go to results, and at this point you will see all the students in your class. You will see all the information about when they took it, how long it took them to take it, their scores and grades, and the various questions. So you'll know whether they got question 7 right or 8 wrong or whatever. And if you want to see that question and review it, you can click on whatever question they got wrong or right, and you'll be able to go in and review that information and see even a history of responses on that. So that way, if you need to reteach or explain different or help that student out with a confusing part, you will have that information accessible to you on this screen. All of this information is also kind of exportable, downloadable with these formats out here. If you need to take those for a grade and enter them into, Blackboard or something else like that, you can more easily export those now in a more user-friendly format than our previous site. So that's an option for you also. All right. So that's kind of the grading feature. And there are some statistics and other things that are in here. And we can also do more item analysis a little bit easier with the new testing site. But again, that's more than we probably need to know right now. The item analysis is up here. So if you wanted to go in and see, how many people got question 1 right, how many got it wrong, and if they did get it wrong, what was the most popular wrong answer? So that way you can gather that information to help us and help yourself in how we teach the material, and also to continuously improve the exams themselves. So, all right. For the most part, guys, that is what I wanted to cover today. I wanted to show you how to get to the site, get to your school, get students in the system, get students enrolled in a certification, the navigation of the certification itself, and then how you as an instructor would go and see and view the results or grades of that specific certification. So at this point, I'll open it up for questions. So if there's anything I need to re-show or you have some questions on, we'll take those now.
Okay, Matt, is it possible for them to make it a drop-down menu for the test names instead of having to have that cheat sheet and type in the name? Could they just have a drop down menu where it has all the tests and you just pick the name of the one you want?
In the bulk upload template.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, Randy. I'll ask about that because we were gonna add a couple fields to that bulk upload template anyway. So I will check on that. Awesome idea. If we can add a macro or something to that and a drop down menu for the short name, that'd be a good idea. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one question. Really?
Okay.
Under the 7 day, the old default on the old pro training site was 7 days from the
Mm-hmm.
time you loaded and then to take an exam. Is that still the same?
No, actually, because there are no. The reason there was that setting was because we had these test credit things that we had to deal with. There are no more credits, so we again, as much as we love bothering Dwayne, we don't have to do that anymore for test credits.
Okay.
When you're in here and you issue that exam, you can go in as a campus admin and actually change the enrollment duration, but by default it's set to unlimited. So when you enroll them in the class, they have an unlimited amount of time to go and take their 3 attempts. And they'll have access to that until you basically unenroll them or remove them from that class and just put them back in the system as general. Good
So I can
question.
set them up for a semester and then at the end of the semester evaluate whether or not they're still with us or not.
Sure.
Okay. And there was you flipping screens and there was saw something on there for override permission. What was that about?
Which screen? Do you remember?
It was in you were in the ethos certification, and I think it was part of the enrollment. You had the enrolling students.
Okay. Well, here, let me do it. I think I need to log back out. My info reports. I'm going to log out for a second because I think it put me in as a instructor for a second.
You're still working out the bugs. You had in one screen. You need to enroll, and then the word enroll was spelled wrong.
Oh well, that's funny you mentioned that. That's this is Jones and Bartlett Learning, who is kind of hosting the site and stuff, and they're an Australian company. And don't quote me on this, but I do believe that's how they spell it in Australia. When,
Then we just told them we weren't going to the Queen's English, and then
yeah,
then they will update that. So expect an E on the word town.
right, yeah, yep. Um, was it on results or was it in enrollment?
It wasn't in the results section. I'm pretty sure it was in the enrollment section.
For adding a user or enrolling to that? Let's see.
Can't do a control F on it.
Yeah. Let's see. Why am I not assigning roles here?
Now, what happens if you, in the uploading of the Excel spreadsheet,
Mm-hmm.
if there is one comma incorrect or something, will it kick it out? Will it let us know that something's right?
Yeah, it will give you a warning, and it will also tell you what fields didn't get inputted or entered. So yeah, it gives you that warning, and then you can go in and fix your template. For the most part, it works pretty well. The only time I had an issue was with that short name, and like I say, that drop down menu was a good idea. So we'll see if we can get that incorporated. Otherwise, at the very least, we'll definitely get you that cheat sheet, so that way. You at least have what you have, and then you can always drag and copy into each one. I'm not seeing.
40 students hanging in the middle here between the transition of taking the test and switching over to the new one. So should they take? Should I try to get as many processed before Wednesday this week, and then the other ones will just wait until the following week?
That would probably be the best. Yeah, if you want to get it done before the pro training side goes down, and then give yourself a little buffer as the new one comes in. That would be how I would do it. That's actually how I am doing it here at Gateway. Yep. Any other
It looks
questions?
very nice, Matt. Matt looks very nice. The old one was just a lot better, I think.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. I think this is going to work out well. Like I say, we'll get the bugs and wrinkles ironed out, and I'm excited.
Well, now we can analyze the question. If 90% of the class got it wrong, that falls on us.
Right.
We can better identify where the problem is rather than just it was pure guesswork before that. It was very frustrating.
It was, and like I say, from an NC3 perspective, we can gather that big aggregate data and see if there are questions where 90% of the country is getting them wrong. It might just be a bum question, so it'll make it easier for us to filter that stuff out and correct that on a more regular and ongoing basis, for sure.
One quick thing, maybe you could just show the team real quickly in the help file where they can contact us in case they need to get stuck or have questions during
Oh,
the
good call.
transition period.
Good call, Dan. On the school level, in the introduction box in the upper right, there's help documentation, and if you click on that, it's going to give you a bunch of links to a lot of the stuff that we just talked about. So, how to log in as a teacher or student, how to change your password, how to enroll students, how to assign students into a course, and like I say, a lot of the stuff that we went through. If you need a little refresher review, there's already help documentation built in for that, and then there is a little contact us over on the right hand side that will shoot an email to the test site team here that will get back to you and try to answer your questions as quick as we can. So, and you guys, most of you guys I've had in class and stuff before, and we've met. So you always have my contact information here at Gateway too. So don't be afraid to use that. I'm here to help.
Hey, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Matt, this is Earl. Hey, fantastic job. If I could add one thing that may help us out, especially on if we do have a test question that we have a concern about, if you don't mind going back to the Ethos test question screen where you pulled up the results, I
Sure.
want to point something out to the group here that was a huge add-on. Hit your item analysis there. Guys, if you notice over on the left-hand side of the screen next to the test question, each test question is ID'd with a specific number. Like that test question that Matt's showing there is 42824. So if you do spot something and you send it back to NC3, and then we work together as Snap-on and NC3 team to look at the question, because we have such a large test question database, if you can also reference that number, that would help us tremendously when we have to go in and take a look at a test question. Okay? You're
Mm-hmm.
well, Matt. Thanks. Good job.
Yep.
Great job out there.
No problem. Thanks, Earl. Any other questions, guys?
Matt, this is Norman Lilly from Bay Community College. How you doing today?
Good. How about yourself?
Great, great course, man. That was pretty short, sweet, and very thorough. I got a question about our school being on the NC3 site and the pro training site, the new site. We're not actually on any of the information or on any of the certification sites. Who do I need to contact now as far as that goes? Like even on the NC3 site where you go into certification centers and all, our school is not on any of that information.
So you're talking the maps and stuff that are on the NC3 site and the
Yeah,
listings?
yeah, none of it. The new website when we were up in class,
Mm-hmm.
when we were there at the last class, our school wasn't on